Hey, friend, if you are a brand new author, whether it's a children's book author or you're writing a novel or whatever it may be wondering, what do I do after I finish the rough draft? Well, I want to answer that question today with three things that you should do as soon as you finish your rough draft. My name is Travis D. Peterson. I'm an author as well as a book designer, and I coach authors through the process of publishing. And not only do I want to explain these three things you should do, but I have a big secret that I've been keeping from my YouTube audience as well as other audiences that I manage. And that is that I have just finished writing a book myself. And no, it's not a children's book, even though I have published a few children's books of my own. For the past year and a half, I have been writing a brand new book for authors to help them through the process from writing your book to publishing. There are a lot of books out there to teach you how to write, but they don't tell you much about what to do after you've finished writing. So that's my goal with this book. The title is Indie Author's Dozen, and it's just going to walk you through the process of sort of setting up your publishing team and step by step what you need to do to go from manuscript to published. So I'm going to cover that at the end of this video. But first, I want to tell you these three things that you should do as soon as you finish your manuscript. And I'm mostly speaking to children's book authors, but again, it applies to any kind of book. First of all, you should celebrate. That's right. Celebrate. This is a big deal. Not many people have written a book, and you have, my friend. Whether it's a children's book with just 500 words or whether it's a novel with 500,000 words, I don't know if they get that big. But the point is, celebrate. And how are you going to celebrate your manuscript? For me, I'm pretty simple. I celebrated my latest book with a nice cold root beer, my favorite kind of drink, and I don't get it often. So just to be able to celebrate with that was worth it for me. For you, it may be a nice dinner out with your spouse or a night out with friends, or maybe you go on a road trip somewhere to your favorite town outside of where you live, something like that. Maybe you go for, like a surfing trip or a ski trip or whatever it may be. The point is, I want you to celebrate. In fact, for every milestone you reach throughout your publishing journey, you should celebrate. Make it a small celebration for each milestone you reach. And then once it's published, then maybe that's when you go for that big road trip or that, big cross-country trip or whatever it may be. But my point again is celebrate. And include the people who are closest to you. Include your spouse or your significant other or your kids, your parents, whoever it may be. Include them in the celebration because it truly is worth celebrating. And the second thing you should do once you have finished your manuscript, and honestly, this should be started way before you're finished with your manuscript. As soon as you get the idea and start writing a book, tell somebody. If you haven't done it by now, tell somebody. Tell your spouse. Tell your kids. Tell your parents. Tell your best friend that you really trust with your life. Tell your mentor. Whoever it may be, tell somebody. Now, why do I say this? I think it's very important to tell somebody because then it makes it official and it sort of binds you to it in a way that, okay, now I need to move forward because somebody else knows about it besides myself. And so you kind of promise this product, you've promised this book in a way, even though maybe you haven't used those words, but it urges you to continue. So tell somebody about your new manuscript, your new story that you have either written or started to write. And not just one person, but if you haven't already started building an audience, a mail list, or a social media platform account or whatever it may be, start that now and start promoting your story. You don't have to have a completed book or even have illustrations for a children's book or anything like that to begin telling people about it. So, and in this situation, do what I say and not what I do, because like I said, I've been keeping this brand new book kind of a secret from my larger audience. I have told some people and I've kept them in the loop with how things are going on. But I haven't told many people about this book. But for you, I really encourage you to start as soon as you can. Start today. If you can't start yesterday, start today, right? So start telling people. Tell one person you really trust, but then start telling other people. And by telling that first person, it might make it easier for you to start telling other people as well. Now, you don't have to be selling your book constantly. You can be promoting the message behind the book and telling them about the process of creating this book and writing this book and publishing this book. You can start including them in the different details of your publishing team and who's involved and what their role is in the team and all these different things to continue to let people know how the book is progressing. And let me tell you, your audience, if they love you and the idea behind the book, they're going to love hearing these updates. So I really encourage you, tell somebody and then start telling somebody else. Start telling somebody else. Start broadening your audience and getting them excited about your book. Now, number 3, you have to start building your publishing team. Now, what do I mean by that? Because if you, like really probably most authors today, are self-publishing, doesn't that mean you're just doing it yourself? You don't need a publishing team. You're not, signing on with a traditional publisher or an agent or anything like that. Well, the truth is, can I be quite honest with you? I don't think there's any such thing as self-publishing. Hear me again. There's no such thing as self-publishing. I actually prefer the phrase indie publishing. So that's what I want you to start using now. You're not a self-publisher. You're an indie author or an indie publisher, because you can't do it yourself. It's impossible. If you were on a deserted island and you scratched out the manuscript in the sand and then you read it out loud to a group of seagulls, you did not self-publish, because there's a whole audience involved. They are also part of your publishing team. Now, that audience might be made up of seagulls, but it's still an audience. So I want you to hear me. You can't do it all yourself. You can't be the author and the printer and the designer and the illustrator and the editor and the audience all at the same time. There's no such thing as self-publishing. You're an indie author. So let me get off my soapbox for a minute, okay? There are certain people you need to have on your team. Now, some of these people are going to be represented, some of these roles are going to be represented by the same people. Some of them are going to be you yourself, like you're the author. You need to self-edit before you send it to a professional editor. You are the publisher. You're not seeking another publisher to do that for you. So you're taking on 3 roles just by yourself. Now, if you are one of the unicorns out there who illustrate your book, if it's a children's book and you illustrate as well, okay, that might be another situation. Maybe you do take on a 4th role. I am a professional designer, so I took on the role of designing my books, but I did not illustrate my books because that is absolutely not my strength. So I trusted illustrators to illustrate my children's books. So you have to be ready to do that. Now there also are some unpaid members that should be a part of your publishing team. These are beta readers. So these are people that you pass the manuscript on to get their input on the quality of it, and to their feedback will help you kind of develop the manuscript more and more until you send it to the professional editor. There's also your audience, and I talked about that. Um, and within, and these are really all the same group of people. Your beta readers are part of your audience, and also your what I call your champion, your cheerleader, or in the book I wrote, I actually call it the hype man. It's, all the rappers, they have these hype men that are backing them up and getting the audience excited. And as authors, we need people like that to support us and champion us and cheerlead us on the sidelines. And so these are people that should be a part of your publishing team to help you get the word out, and also they're your readers. They're part of the team as well. Now, there's also those professionals that you really need to have included. If you think you can publish a book completely for free without putting any money into it, without investing anything into it, I'm sorry to tell you that's going to be very difficult because you need a professional editor. Don't publish a book without getting it professionally edited. Even if it's a 500-word children's book, it needs to be edited. You probably need an illustrator, especially if it's a children's book or a young adult, middle grade book, something like that. You'll at least need a designer, even if it's just for the cover. You'll need a printer. You'll need a formatter, which will likely be the designer formatting the book as well. So there's some combination there as well. But my point is, you will have some professional members of your publishing team as well. And finally, as a believer myself, and if you're a Christian, I would really encourage you to involve God in the process of publishing your book. I think there's a real beauty that comes with co-creating with God, and especially when it comes to something creative like this, like writing a book and publishing it. So I also encourage you to involve the creator in the process of creating your book. That can be so powerful in itself. So there you have it. That's the publishing team, or at least an introduction to the publishing team. And that's what my brand new book, Indie Authors Dozen, is all about. And so if you would like to hear more information about the book, I actually have the introduction chapter available to download. And you can do that right now at indieauthorsdozen.com. You can go there, download the introduction chapter. It's a raw version of the chapter. It has not been edited yet. In fact, by doing so, I'll be inviting you to give me feedback. So you'll actually be invited onto my beta readers team, onto my publishing team for the book. And I just really appreciate your feedback and to hear your excitement. If you really enjoy what you read in that chapter, it'll encourage me and spur me on to continue down the journey. And it'll also help me to really polish this book to the absolute best that it can be for my audience. And so if you're interested, please go to indieauthorsdozen.com, download the intro chapter. And in the near future, I'm going to have each chapter available after that you can download and read and provide your own feedback on each chapter if you'd like. You don't have to, but that's just an option for you as I finish doing my own self-editing of each chapter. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoy the content. 3 things you should do as soon as you finish writing. What are you going to do next? Are you going to celebrate? How are you going to celebrate? Let me know in the comments below. Who are you going to tell? Let me know in the comments below. Who's the first person you're going to tell about your story? And finally, start putting together your publishing team. I really hope this helps you. Look forward to seeing what you have next, because you have a story inside you. Time to get it out.